Okay, folks, good evening. Get rid of all this extra stuff that we have here. All right. Where we left off this morning. And normally I would probably go ahead and work on the figure here. This is the commander of the SU-85, but it's a little late. I don't know how much I got in me. And I don't think starting on that is probably what the right move for me. So we're going to go back to black lining the 234. Kind of a little bit of a late start, but no start is worse. All right. Just getting the old null oil out. And let's get the right paintbrush. It's this one. Okay. And yeah, should be good with that. All water-based stuff. Nothing is any unusual painting material. I think that the winter, the washable white camo is probably the strangest thing. But I didn't even use it what it's for. I could have used white paint. Keeping it simple. We'll probably try to wipe down a white paint on a different vehicle. I just didn't think it was necessary on this one. On these, it's so worn out. This was all water-based paint. You imagine when you got a bunch of ice and stuff and it melts, it's going to wash that all away. What's up, Cameron? Yeah, starting to paint this late is either gonna end up staying up all night. There, I have the wrong coffee. What are you doing? We're painting stuff like this. We're painting a 234 Russian World War II tank. So this is another one similar to that one. We did an assault gun we finished this morning. Just doing what we do here. This is super easy. It's multifaceted. It takes a little while. And what I really like to do is doing the research on, okay, what would these things look like? Not just paint it haphazardly, however the hell you want. The sleet killer. The sleet. What did sleet ever do to you? Like your live. Awesome. Thank you. Don't be afraid to subscribe either. Been doing these vertical videos, get some more subscribers, just kind of get the word out. There's other people that are like, that already do this kind of stuff and don't even see my feeds because of the algorithm. So I think in 2 weeks we'll almost hit 100 subscribers. Like that's like a lot. So just a niche thing. I'm not out lighting myself on fire doing stupid stunts. So the subscribers come in a little slower. This is what we do. And one of the things I want to do these snow vehicles because I got a model meeting coming up in a month. Well, in I guess 3 weeks. I did the homework assignment plenty ahead of time, so I didn't wait till the last minute. I think the next week is ships, and I'm actually gonna build a ship. I guess it would count as a ship. Definitely gonna do a before and after on this ship. I have a little toy. It's like a toy little boat that I found in my grab bag. It's like a kid's toy they would play like in a bathtub. And it's small. It's small. It's a little bit bigger than this, but it's just like like a civilian boat. I think I'm gonna build it and put it on a stand. It's something that would go like for my modern Africa game. I'm like, heck with it. It might be fun to just kind of do that on the side. Yeah, I definitely have to do before and after. It's one of those things. A lot of like toys actually have really good detail to repaint. Like a lot of these like toy dinosaurs, if you can strip them, even if you don't strip them, just repaint them. They actually have some pretty nice details on them. Matchbox cars, same thing. You know, so there's like a new theme every month, and it's ships next month. I don't want to buy a ship. I got plenty of stuff to already do, and I've got that boat, and I've had it for I don't know, 20 years probably. Like it's time to do something with it. Spray primer that thing black and go to town. It's about it's about this long. It's like a boat you would it's like a boat you would own to go fishing on it or something like that. There's actually this scenario that I was brainstorming one time that I thought of a whole game venue based on this one scenario. And it was these mercenaries that were going upriver, only four of them, and they had to escape the board on an aircraft, a little Cessna. So how long could it take to paint that ship? 5 hours, maybe. I don't think it'd take longer than that. Might be something fun to do. Andrea Special. Are you the girl Andrea or the boy Andrea? Because in Italian, that's a boy's name. That's like Andrew. Girl. Oh, special with the dollar sign. That cost extra. Awesome. Hey, I just thought about that. I will do that little bite. I just ran across it the other day. I came across my modern Africa stuff. But I'm digging this winter stuff. You subscribe. Man, I can't ask for anything more than that. Thank you. I had a friend of mine that I actually know them in real life. I see him a couple times a year. And he's always constantly putting his foot in his mouth. And and he told me one time, I said, man, you should subscribe to my channel. He's like, well, I just retired and I'm kind of on a fixed income. I can't really afford that right now. And I'm like, went right over your head, man. Just click the button. That's it. And really, the subscription, as far as I can tell, the big difference is the more subscribers you have, the more your content gets suggested to other people. So, there might be somebody who's like, this is the cat's meow for them, and they don't get to see it because you don't have enough subscribers. But it's all I can't afford to subscribe to you right now, dude. It's McFree. I wouldn't want people to give me money anyways. I'm not one of those folks like I'm gonna start a Patreon. No, I'm not interested in doing that. I mean, unless it can cover my salary, in which case, let's do it. Right? We can do this. We can do this all day long. Let somebody else go to the salt mines. But since that's not really in the realm of possibility, we'll just continue doing this for free. I was watching a video of somebody the other day, and every 5 minutes they had some other kind of random interrupting ad. Like that's really annoying. You know, or you're watching some video that was originally on TV, and every 10 minutes or so it like stops for a commercial. It's not there. It comes back and spend the next 2 minutes repeating what you just saw because normally it would be a commercial break. Like, come on, man, let's move on with the story. All right. So let's look at the back. Do we have everything on the back that's going to be black lined here? No. I'm going to put some here. This is just putting some extra forced shadows on stuff. Now we have everything on the back. Okay. Move over to this side. There. There. Sorry, you were gone for a second. That's okay. You're free to go. We're not gonna hold. We're not here to hold anybody hostage. Let you be who you want to be. It's almost like painting in braille. I'm having to feel every single, put the paintbrush in every nook and cranny. But it's well worth it. The end result is worth it. We got a real cool show coming up this weekend. I'm gonna do some, go to a place that's gonna have a reenactment with real World War II vehicles. And fire some of them too. So we got to bring our ear protection. I don't want to lose even more of the hearing that I already don't have. Huh? Exactly. So we're gonna film that in my own peculiar amateurish way, because I don't claim to be a professional film person. If I was, I wouldn't be able to paint. This model has a fair amount of detail that they put on it, considering it's damn near 50 years old. I believe it's from the early 70s. You're gone for a second. AFK, away from keyboard. You probably don't even use that anymore. It's probably called something else. What is the weirdest thing that's happened on a live show? Not one of my shows, but just in general. Somebody break into your house while you're on a live show. I bet that's happened. Pretty unlikely to happen here. We got a bunch of armed old people in this neighborhood. What are we doing with that? So we build them, um, and they're going to be for a war game eventually. But for right now, we're putting them in the big display case back there, where I have, I don't know, a couple hundred, and that's just over 2 years. So that's what we're doing with them now. I know some people want to play with them. They're always rushing me. Hey, we're gonna play. When are we gonna play? When are we gonna? I'm like, no. I'm building them right now. Is just that's the therapy. You're gonna be rushing me to get me to play a game. That's I don't want to be rushed. We'll have these done. We'll game when we can. What's up, Max 18? Does that mean you're 18 years old? Or is 18 your favorite number? Well, somebody says, what's your favorite number? It's got to be a one digit number, right? What's your favorite number? 547. Why? I don't know. Just like the look of it. What? It's always a single digit number. Warhammer. I'm doing good. How are you, man? No, not Warhammer. First of all, Warhammer is 28 millimeters, so the figures are a lot bigger. These are 20, but and these are, I believe, the correct terminology is rules, war game rule agnostic. It means I build these, and you don't have to use them with a certain. There's no certain sanctioned rule that you have to use them for. It's you can use them for all kinds of different games. Your ultimate number is six. Well, that's just an old wives' tale. That doesn't mean anything. I got a guy at work that's like would freak out if something he can't write that number down. I'm like, it's just a freaking number like anything else. Just like the people that are on an elevator, like, oh look, there's no 13th floor. Yeah, there is. It's called the 14th floor on this one. People that are superstitious about stuff. How about just be a good person and you don't have things. You don't have to worry about anything. You have to look over your shoulder if you're just being a good person. All right, we're almost done with the black lining on the hull. Then we're going to go to the roof. And a lot of these places where I'm doing this, I'm going to end up going back and adding some oxidized colors to it. But it automatically is going to make it dark. Do I know? Yes, I do. Yep. But a much more limited vocabulary. I wouldn't want to be talking about this in that language because I'd be like having to substitute English words for everything. It's strange to encounter a Soviet vehicle that has radios. A Soviet World War II vehicle with radios. That's kind of strange. At the beginning of the war, they would signal with like flags. Guy would get out and he'd wave different colored flags and do different things. Well, this is crick crocked a little bit. Got this stupid rubber track. It's archaic, but it's what it came with. We'll try to make this look as good as we can, and it'll be good enough. Okay, this is all good on this side. Let's do the equivalent one over here. Missing some underneath this the fuel canister. It's hard to get to the light. I actually got some of this stuff that's enamel, figuring, oh, it's probably going to apply a lot better than acrylic. No, I didn't think so. And then you have to worry about cleaning your brushes, covering the whole thing in a clear coat, in an acrylic clear coat, just to protect it before you put the enamel down. Like that's just I'm not looking for adding more steps, especially when it's not any better performance. Now this one's also going to have red markings on it, make it stand out a little bit. All right, we're done with that. Let's go to the turret. So there's a, if you ask people, was a T-34 a good tank? You'll get a lot of people that say, oh, it was a really good tank. But there's a lot of things that are in play here at this level. And what this level is, when I war game, it's almost a role playing game in that you're not running very many people. If you're playing with a tank, you probably play 2 tanks. That's it. You don't need to be running 7 tanks because you'll have different actions will come up. The loader of one tank comes up. What do you want to do? You want to switch the ammo, that kind of stuff. It's pretty crunchy, granular. When you start looking at things in a very zoomed in fashion, you really start getting a flavor of how some of these vehicles are different from each other. Like on paper, this is a great vehicle. A T-34 is a good vehicle. This is actually the latest iteration of the T-34, and if T-34 76. And if you agree that the T-34 76 is a good vehicle, then this is the latest version of it. This would be the best T-34 76 that they made. But it has some issues with it. It has some issues fighting some of the German tanks. And one of the issues that it has is it has only a 2-man turret, which is better than a 1-man turret, but it's still a 2-man turret. You've got a loader in there, and you have a commander that's also the gunner. So instead of him being able to spend all of his time making sure, spot targets for everybody, make sure everything's operating the way it's supposed to, communicating with the other tanks, etc., he's busy lining the gun up and taking shots. If it was a 1-man turret, he'd be loading the gun also, plus all the other duties. But that in and of itself isn't that bad, okay? Because there are German tanks, for instance, that have 2-man turrets. The Czech 38 is one of them. I just finished painting a half dozen of those. Those are all two-man turrets. Panzer II, two-man turret. But after that, Panzer IIIs and IVs, they all have three-man turrets. And American tanks do too. And British are split. Anyway, so you've got his attention span is being redirected in different areas because of that. But on top of all that, the crew comfort of the Soviet vehicles is not very good. The ammunition that this particular vehicle had, you've got almost all vehicles, if not every tank, has ammunition that is stored in two main places. It's stored in areas that are easy to get to and places that take a little bit more trouble to get to. Normally, the first place is what they call ready rack, which are these racks on the inside of the turret that hold anywhere between usually around 4 to 8 rounds. And if you looked inside here, there would be these racks where, just like the way you would have like a shotgun or something on a wall, you would have the shells that would be on the wall, on the inside of the turret. And that's just so, you encounter a vehicle and it's easy to just throw and put another one in there. And then you would have places the ammunition would be stored in different places in the hull and so forth. But one of the things that was really revolutionary about the T-34 is it had sloped armor. And there are other tanks that have sloped armor as well, but what sloped armor in a nutshell means is when something hits the angle, because it hits the tank, because it's at an angle, you're going to have to go through more thickness of it, plus you have some deflection. So it makes it more efficient than if it was just a straight plate. So you think, well, let's just do sloped armor and everything. But it has one big problem, and that is the area that your crew is working in is reduced, because you can't use all of the space all the way to the end as efficiently, because once you start getting into the slope area, you can't put things there. It's restricting, and you basically, the crew is not working in the sloped area. They're working in the center area, which is more restrictive. Something that a lot of war games don't take into consideration, but it is an important thing. Another thing to take into consideration in this vehicle is, I believe the T-34 had a ready rack of 4 rounds. I could be wrong. It could be 6. So what happens when you get through those 6 rounds? Well, you have to get ammo from other places. Well, where's the ammo stored on a T-34 and other those places? Oh, they're stored in these boxes that hold multiple rounds. I don't know exactly how many it is. I'd have to look it up. I think 2. They have these metal boxes, so when you're loading on there, that the rounds are in there. Kind of like if you got something from Amazon. Okay, well, what's in here? Oh, 2 rounds, right? Well, where are they stored? They're stored under the floorboard of the tank. So on the bottom of the tank, there's a floor. There's obviously the metal floor, but most of this area underneath, because these actually carried a fair amount of rounds. I don't know, 70 rounds, maybe something like that. I'd have to look at exactly, but it's not like they had like 30 rounds. They had a lot of rounds. They could fight for a while. But the ammunition is in these boxes, and these boxes are on top of the floor, and on top of the boxes, there's like a rubber mat. So imagine when you're inside here, you're like walking on this rubber mat, and you're like, hey, what's underneath here? All the boxes of ammo. So once you run out of these 6 or 8 rounds, you've got to replenish ammo that's in the floor, and you have to peel that. You have to bring, it's like a big yoga mat, except I'm sure it weighs a metric ton. It's probably really stiff. So you got this mess going on, with these shell casings and, just a disorder. And another thing that is a big deal, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but it is a big deal, is that the T-34s did not have a turret basket. And what a turret basket is, you've got these positions that, you have these seats where people sit inside of a turret. In this particular one, you would have the commander, the gunners on this side, and the loader is back here. They're inside. They normally would have a seat. So when you're going like this and the turret turns, your seat turns with the turret. So you're always aligned with the business end where the gun's going, right? You could be turning this way, the tank is going this way, and the guys are looking this way. Well, the T-34s don't have a turret basket. So what does that mean is when this turret turns, you have these people that are standing on the floorboard and they have to turn themselves physically with the turret. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? But the whole floor of this tank is now covered with that rubber mat, spent shell casings, these boxes that you don't need the metal box after you pulled the 2 or 3 rounds or however many are in there out. So you're fighting your own vehicle in combat. So that's a big deficiency that the Soviets have. So on paper, I mean, it's got good armor. They're fast. They're relatively reliable. You know, they were crude, but they had a pretty decent gun, certainly in 1941. But they're clunky. They're clunky to operate on that, and that's just something that doesn't normally get taken into consideration in war games. And it's important, and that's one of the things that made the Germans ahead of everybody else, at least in the first part of the war, is because they had experienced crews. They were able to fight more efficiently inside the tank than many other tanks they faced. And because of that, they survived and were able to learn by it and got even better in the next battle. Now, their tanks had a lot to be left to be desired because they weren't the best armored, they certainly weren't reliable, but they had a really good fighting conditions for the crew. Everybody had a role, they had communications, they all had radios, so you could coordinate things. So on paper, you're playing a game, these T-34s are awesome, but they don't have radios, you're tripping over stuff in the middle of the hall. It's just, you start looking at that stuff and it's things that you normally wouldn't consider. But anyhow, the salt gun, the Su-85, it came out a little bit after Kursk. It was the first. It was the first Soviet vehicle that had the 85 millimeter gun in it, I believe. And the 85 millimeter gun that's in it is actually an anti-aircraft gun, same way that the German 88 was an anti-aircraft gun. Long, high muzzle velocity. It was a pretty good weapon. But there's no point defense on the Su-85, meaning there's no coaxial machine gun. There's no machine gun there. You basically have one 85 millimeter cannon, and that's it. So you have to rely on your friendly infantry to keep other infantry off of you, so you don't get close assaulted. So everything has a weak point. Every single vehicle has a weak point. So happy Tuesday, folks. All right, back to the turret. And that's why I think historical stuff is so cool, because you're actually learning real things, not just some make believe fluff that the masters at Games Workshop decided to piece together, or something else. Man, I hasn't been here in a long time. Rick, I wonder if he's making a waffle. I tried calling out Rick the other day. I guess I rubbed the wrong genie. He didn't come out. It had something to do with waffles. The waffle iron. say something in Spanish. Nah, it's not one of them shows. It's not that exciting. I've had this thing for so long. Finally glad of painting them. Oh man, getting to the end of these little details. And then we're going to have to figure out what we're going to paint on this. I know we're going to do red numerals. I'm going to have to sleep on that. Because that's what comes up next. Tritar, there we go. One of the regulars. Welcome back, man. You on watch tonight? I take it that means when you are on watch, you're on call from home. I take it. Nope, you had regular hours. I always work regular hours. I guess it probably wouldn't that be that big of a deal as long as you know that, hey, in like a week I'm going to be working this weird shift, so you can like be ready for it, right? Not just thrown on you. Oh yeah, by the way, it's a double shift. When today? Well, son of a bitch! I wish I would have known. Man, I think that's it. I think that's all the black lining that we need to do on this thing. I mean, there's lots of rusting that goes in here. Got to figure out how we're going to paint this. What numbers we're going to. I know we're going to do. I know we're going to do red. I know we're going to do red. I don't want to just be lazy and come up with K9 something another K. It's probably a letter. Honestly, it's not K. Well, K is a letter, but I'm sure it's not the letter K. You'd rather be on call. I don't know. You like a cop and you get tired of like weird stuff happening all the time. Like, oh, this again. No, I'm out of gas. Like, how do you run out of gas, man? I had an incident that happened to my wife a couple of years ago, many years ago, actually. And she was at a grocery store. Um, Hold on. She was at Home Depot. She was at Home Depot, and she wasn't with me, but she was at Home Depot and encounters a guy in the parking lot, and it's been a while, so I may not get it exactly right, but he said, "Hey, I'm out of gas. My car's broke down. I'm out of gas. Here's my business card. I have a tree trimming service in the next town over, which is legitimately it's 10 miles away. It's a suburb. It's a suburb town of where we used to live. Now we live in another suburb town, not the same one, but give her his business card. Hey, I just need $20. I'll pay you back. I'm good for it. What have you?" And she fell for it. And she was at the grocery store a couple weeks later and sees somebody trying to talk some lady into doing the same scam and says, "Hey, I know you." And she's basically like had an attitude with him and basically told the other lady, "Don't take any money from him. He did this, that, and the other." And the guy played it off like he'd never seen it before. And then she changed her mind and decided she needed to go get the store manager to escort her to her car just to be safe. I'm like, man, don't confront freaking people. Note to self, don't give people freaking money, man. Guys don't. Okay, men aren't good at everything, but we never run out of gas because that's embarrassing as shit. That's like being fucking lost, you know? At least for me, I'd hate to run out of gas. That's embarrassing as crap, you know? All right, let's look at some pictures of some T-34s. You probably have all kinds of stories like sob stories and stuff like that. I don't have any money, but can you tow me here? What's up, man? Rookie, you got stories for days. It's probably worse than that. Not only do you have stories for days, you've had weird shit that is you think is like a unique thing and it keeps happening. And you're like, damn it, the same bullshit thing is gonna happen again. Because I like get tired of the same crap happening over and over again. Um, let's go to scalemates, okay? Let's go to scalemates and we're gonna see if we can cut a corner. Let's go to scalemates and we're gonna go ahead and enter T34 on there. Man, it'd be nice if I could see my keyboard. All right. You're about to go to sleep. Really? Oh, yeah, you got an early bedtime. Good. Good job on your parents. Did you ever tell them that? Tell your parents are doing a good job with that. Because most kids people just let them just do things like a loose cannon. Like T-34, let's just click on this, and what do we got? All right, we got all the kits, hot kits. Even says here, hot kits. You guys don't know what Scalemates is, man. Scalemates is freaking awesome, and it's free. It's 9:30 and it's spring break. We got to go to work for every day. But the worst thing about school is homework. and procrastinating and wait until the freaking last minute to write a paper, and you don't start writing the paper until 10 p.m. the day before it's due. And oh my God, that all that torture is like, no, please, anything but that. Kelly's Hero Tiger, F that. What? Why is there that few choices there for this? Where's the normally there's a thing here that lets you like products, hot kits. How about all the kits? Products, books, gallery, walk around. Okay. Now, where's the little menu over here on the side? All sections. Here we go. Kits. Mm. All right. In T34, we're going to go with vehicles, tanks, T34. Okay. And I don't care about the T3485s at this point. T34. Model 43 is even better. That's what we want. Eastern Express. This is the right one with the turret here. Let's see if the instructions are here. Real basic instructions. They got lots of options here for markings, but they don't describe any of them. And I forget I've got one of these screens that let's see what this. Actually, I'll give you one decal. Let's go all the way to the bottom. The bottom is normally gives you like decal sets down here. Model 41, model 43. Here's one that's in snow. Oh, here's some unique markings on them. I might be inspired by some of this. Unidentified unit. Well, I don't know what it says. I could put that on there. It's got the number in black and it's got some writing in red. That's kind of a nice little combination. Perfect timing. I should get to bed quickly tonight. Hey, at least you like coming by. ASMR. Or is it AMSR? I don't know. And then this one has 300 and then has Moskva on it, which is, Moscow. I mean, it's an earlier version. It's the one without the cupola. Here it's listed as an M1943. It really should be an M1942, but we're going to end up doing some of these snower vehicles with this earlier version of the tank. So those might be a good Might be a good opportunity with that. Oh, there's 1/48 scale. That's strange. I'm not used to that even being a scale anymore. Finished tanks, tanks in Leningrad front. Let's see what we got here. Same type of thing. Okay, go back. Tanks of the Belarusian front. These all snow? No, none of them are. Well, there's no reason I just couldn't just do one of these and just do it in Red Riding. Finished tank. See if there's some models usually have a ton of decals. See what they give on the instructions. It's not in color. Okay, this is the 3rd Ukrainian Front Autumn 44. I'm going to go ahead and do this tank brigade marking here. 22nd Tank Brigade, 6th Tank Corps Autumn 43. You have some markings on the back of the turret. That's cool. That's a little bit different. Yeah, let's do that. All right. That'll certainly put a head start on tomorrow morning. All right, so what the hell did you fall asleep to before you started showing what coming up on my show? Porn? NPR. What's this one? Yeah, 24. Let me just make sure I don't have a 24 already. Well, it would just be red 24. That's what we would call this thing, even if I do have another 24. A white 36. I'm good with 24. Even if I do have another one. I do have another 24. I have a BT7, but it's white 24. We'll do 24 on this one. Is red here? It is. Okay? And black is there. Cool. You're about to fall asleep to wind chimes. The wind is picking up. In South Kakalaki? You live near Columbia, right? South Kakalakistan. All right, let's get a little bit of black here. Yes. I got a guy I deal with at work that's from Columbia. I went through Columbia one time and I remember it being hilly. Well, any kind of hills is hilly for me. I'm a flatlander. Not a flat earther, a flatlander. Look at that. You close this thing up and you get all this shit all over you. I knew he was a king. He ain't got shit all over him. Good golly, man. There aren't really people that think the Earth is flat, are they? I mean, they're live in a Western country. Not like talking about somebody that's you know a native in Brazil or something like that that still like wears no clothes. I'm talking about there's no way. I think they make a big deal because you want people to think that there are. I just don't believe that there's anybody that the world's flat. That's a step too far. I can see how some people would think that the moon landings were faked. I'm not one of them, but I actually know someone who really believes the Earth is flat. So what's their excuse when you show them like satellite pictures and stuff? Like they just think that's fake too. Let's get that diamond, that brigade symbol in the right place first. I just thought it was just a bunch of hogwash. I think it's Photoshop. Well, there's a lot of Photoshop stuff out there, unfortunately. So you have asked them the same thing. It's like, you got a lot of people, a lot of people got to keep their mouths shut to get it to happen. That's why I don't believe that moon landings are fake. Just too many people would have to be in on it. Too many people would have had to, keep their mouth shut. Well, I was trying to figure out, I don't really follow politics very much for good reason to maintain my sanity, but I was kind of trying to see if they found something new on the Kennedy thing. But I read a book on it relatively recently about it, and I was thinking, like, man, this is going to really suck if they discover something completely different than I wasted my time reading this book, but it doesn't look like they did. Let's see if I can go down a size. And this is the old super detailed one. It's not that long ago, but let's get the one that's got all the bells and whistles on it. Nice guy, just a little strange. 9 bricks shy of a full load. Well, that's more fucked up than Hogan's goat. That's so small. Like I can just like, it's almost like just deal with it like a German license plate. Just put WH on there and just scribble the rest. Okay, and the 2-4 are pretty darn big on this one. Let's not use this special one for anything I don't need it for. All right, I was going to do the 2. I'm going to move it over a little bit to get away from this symbol a little bit more. I'm going to make it 23 just to be different. Just an old 23 on there. What turned early? Allergy meds making me drowsy. Man, I've been having to take those as well. I don't have a drowsy one that I've taken, but man, the pollen has been kicking my butt lately. Not, not really, but it just, I'm having these attack, like a sneeze attack. I'm not, it just comes out of nowhere. All right, man. Thanks for coming by, man. Have a good night. We'll have 23 there. And we got a 23 there. I'm actually not going to put it on the back. Well, let's see. They put a smaller one on there. You put a 2 and then an equal sign and a 3. All right, let's do that. It's a little bit. Let's make sure we got everything in the right place. The top of the 2 is going to be here. Bottom of the 2 is going to be there. We're going to have an equal signs. And then we're going to have a top of the 3 here and the bottom of the 3 there. let's fill that in now. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to get that thinner one. Let's just add more red to this. Okay, and then we're going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to brighten that up. I don't want the red to be super, super bright. So that's what we got going on right here. That's what it is on the back of this. It's 2 equals 3. All right, folks. This is where we're going to stop for the night. We'll see you guys in the morning. If you're morning people, have a good night, folks. Bye-bye.